Alien Queen whispered. The alien queen stood beneath the dim blue light of her ruined throne room. Her long silver hair flowed over her shoulders, catching the soft glow of the crystal walls. She had once ruled 1,000 worlds, her voice enough to command fleets across the stars. But now she was alone, the last of her kind. The war had taken everything from her. The halls that once echoed with songs now stood in silence. And in that silence she waited. Through the wreckage of her palace, a human stepped forward. His name was Ethan Cole. His ship had crashed in the outskirts of the alien capital after the last battle between humans and the Queen's forces. He had come searching for survivors, not expecting to find the Queen herself. His steps echoed as he moved closer, careful not to draw his weapon. He had heard stories of her power, how she could bend metal with her mind, how her eyes could make even soldiers freeze in fear. But now she looked tired, her crown tilted and cracked, her once bright armor dimmed by dust. Ethan stopped a few feet away. The air between them felt thick with tension. The Queen raised her head slowly, her deep, violet eyes meeting his. For a long moment, neither spoke. There was only the hum of dying energy fields and the faint whisper of falling dust. Ethan could feel the weight of her gaze, something ancient and strange behind it. Something more than anger or fear. She stood from her throne, her movements graceful but weak. The room seemed to respond to her as if it still recognized its ruler. When she spoke, her voice was soft, almost human. "You came here alone." Ethan nodded. He said he came to help anyone left alive. She looked at him for a while, as if trying to decide whether to believe him. "You humans fight like fire. You destroy everything, yet still reach out a hand afterward." He said he was not here to fight. He told her that the war was over. The Queen stepped closer. Her bare feet touched the cracked marble. Every step made Ethan's pulse rise. She stopped close enough for him to see the faint glow of the veins beneath her skin. Her eyes searched his face. "You are different," she said. "The others came for conquest. You came for mercy." Her voice trembled, and for the first time, Ethan saw fear there, not of him, but of what would come next. She reached up and slowly removed her broken crown. The metal shimmered faintly before fading to gray. She lowered her head, holding the crown in her hands as if it were something fragile. Her breath was unsteady. Then she whispered, "Take me with you, human." The words hung in the air, soft but heavy with meaning. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He did not know if she meant escape, surrender, or something deeper. He looked around the room. Everything was gone. Her empire, her soldiers, her world. She had nothing left to rule. Maybe she did not want to be queen anymore. He told her his ship was damaged, that he was not sure they could leave the planet alive. She said she did not care. Her people were gone. Her world was finished. She wanted to see another sky, even if it was her last. They walked together through the ruins. The city outside was a graveyard of light and metal. Burned ships still glowed in the distance. Ethan's boots crunched over broken glass, while the Queen walked beside him in silence. She looked at the stars with an expression he could not read. When they reached the crash site, she stopped and turned to him. "You could leave me," she said. "You could take the ship and go." Ethan told her he did not leave people behind. She smiled faintly, a small, tired smile that made her look almost human. The ship was half buried in ash. Ethan worked for hours to power its core again. The Queen watched him, sometimes asking quiet questions about Earth, about oceans, about sunlight. Her world had no oceans, only frozen seas. When he told her about blue water and green forests, her eyes softened. She said she wanted to see that just once. When the engines roared back to life, the noise shook the ground. Dust swirled around them. The Queen placed her hand on the ship's hull, feeling the vibration. She whispered something in her language. A farewell, maybe. Then she turned to Ethan. Her eyes shone brighter than before. "If we leave," she said, "what will you call me?" Ethan looked at her for a moment, then said he would call her Lyra. She smiled again. Lyra. It was simple. But she seemed to like it, as the ship rose through the clouds. The light of the dying planet faded below them. Lyra watched the horizon until it disappeared. She looked calm, but her hand trembled slightly on the railing. Ethan could see the reflection of the stars in her eyes. She said the stars used to sing to her when she was young. Now they were silent. He said maybe they were waiting for her to listen again. They traveled for days. Space stretched endlessly before them. Ethan repaired systems while Lyra learned about the ship, asking small questions, watching him closely. At night, when the engines hummed low, she sat near the window and stared at the stars. Ethan sometimes joined her. She told him stories about her people, about how they once believed humans were myths. Now she was the myth among them. One night she asked him what he would do if Earth rejected her. Ethan said he would not let that happen. She asked why he would risk that for her. He did not answer. She looked at him, her expression unreadable, then said softly that humans were strange. He smiled and said he had heard the same about her kind. When they finally neared Earth, the ship's systems began to fail again. Lyra moved to help him, her hands glowing faintly with energy. She used her power to stabilize the engines. It drained her strength, but she did not stop. When they broke through the clouds, she collapsed. Ethan caught her before she hit the floor. Her eyes fluttered open, weak, but still full of light. "Did we make it?" she whispered. Ethan nodded. Outside the window, the blue ocean she had dreamed of stretched endlessly below. Lyra smiled faintly. She said it was more beautiful than she imagined. He told her to rest, but she shook her head. She said she wanted to feel the sunlight first. He carried her out when they landed. The wind brushed against her face, and she closed her eyes, breathing it in. The warmth touched her skin for the first time. She looked up at the sky and whispered that it was worth everything. Ethan stood beside her, watching as she slowly took off what remained of her armor. It fell softly onto the grass. She looked at him and smiled, not as a queen, but as someone free. In that moment, the war, the loss, the stars, everything faded. There was only her in the light. The alien queen who once ruled the stars had lowered her crown and whispered to a human to take her away, and he had.